contributed to the work that I brought to share with you. Thank you for your inspiration. So, I'm having lunch with this charismatic Baptist preacher, and he tells me that he's getting a divorce, which in those days is pretty much the end of the line for a Baptist preacher. And I'm going to this Presbyterian church that could use a little charisma, and as what would happen, we need a preacher. So in a couple of weeks, he's bringing the thunder to my church. That's deal flow. He asks me, how did you do so well in real estate? And I said, I gave myself over to something bigger. You listen to what people need, you watch and tune into what's trying to happen, and you just help it along. That's what a deal is. And he says, when you're doing deals that only you can do, that's when you're making a difference. And something about that bugs me. So, about a week later, he says to me, your people are stuck. They got power, but they're scared to use. We got to get in some people they can love. And I said, whoa, brother, we're Presbyterians, remember? And he says, God is trying to break into your church. Open a window. So I look around our people, our building, our huge parking lot, and driving home, I notice los migras, the kids of all those workers we depend on, out on the streets, no place to go. And it's not like I haven't seen them before, like I've heard people complain, scared, but now I'm doing a deal. And John has a crew. And Bill can get his building supplies at cost. And before you know it, we've got a gymnasium in our parking lot with midnight baseball and basketball and Bible studies in Spanish, and everybody's taking credit. A window is open. And one of the kids says to me, can you help my grandma? And I said, bring her over. And he says, you have to go to her. And I said, why? She's scared. Look, if she wants our help, she'll come to us. If she's going to get help, you have to come. And the preacher says, why don't you go? And I said, I'm not a pastor. I'm a real estate developer. I do deals. He said, sounds like a deal is trying to happen. And the next thing you know, we got to run down the storefront on Cesar Chavez. And I'm volunteering practically on the sidewalk so the old people don't have to climb the stairs. And people stop by all day asking for help, and I take their stories to my people, and they tap into frozen reserves. And all of a sudden, this thing is growing up around us. So one day, this guy comes in, about 30, a construction foreman, and he wants baby food. And a couple of days later, he's back for more. And he says, can I have a case? And a few days later, same thing. And I said, how many babies do you have? And he says, no babies. No babies. This nervous little laugh. And I said, what do you do with the baby food? And he says, para mí. Me and my men. And I said, you like baby food? He says, okay. And I can see he decided to trust me. A shy smile, broad enough to show me what's left of his teeth. And I understand this is what they need. How many of you have this problem? Todos. All of us. Who helps you with this? No complaint. Can't you go to the hospital? You wait 6 meses, months. And what if the pain is so great you can't work? Then I am a dentist, he says. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a shiny pair of pliers. We help one another. We have to work. We get paid on Friday, he says. May I please have one more case? So I tell my people, well, what can we do? I call the city, the other churches, Catholic charities. No one's doing this. It's too complicated. It's not a priority. People say if it were possible, it would already be done. And I hear, this is the deal that only you can. And I call a friend who's a dentist, And he says, "I'd like to help, but I'm busy. Look, you can send a couple over to my office. If you get them cleaned up, I'll do what I can." Why can't we find a few willing dentists and some churches with showers and some volunteers? Because when people see the need, some retiring dentists will donate equipment and others will donate a little time to make a big difference, and we will get a grant and we will have a clinic, or we will find a lot more baby food. Because once I see what's trying to happen, once I'm in the deal flow, I can't help it. I'm going to do what I do. If the stakes are high, if you practice, you can train yourself to override basic instinct. I'm an artist. I train myself to see without a story, to risk pure inspiration without needing to decide what means. I have to remind my students, the first time they draw a nude model, don't bring a story. We don't want your judgment. Show us what you see. I move obstacles out of the way so that beauty can emerge. That's why I try not to smile. When I smile, you look away. I notice. When I smile, you see decay. But you only see for an instant, because then you need a story. What I did, or didn't do. Why I suffer and you're safe. I'm not afraid of pain, because you can teach yourself to override an impulse, even a primal impulse, like smiling. I'm not afraid of pain. As a freelance artist, you can't afford to be. When it started, I got tough. I ate less. I chewed on the other side. And when it got worse, I distracted myself with work. I tried to draw the pain, but I couldn't see it because it had become a story. So I gave up and went to a dentist. And he said, "We need to pull all your teeth." What? Your teeth are bad. We need to take them out and start over. Well, what else could we try? You should trust a doctor. You're a dentist. And you're telling me that I haven't brought you anything worth saving. I'm an artist. I can't think like that. And thank God I can't afford what he wants to do, because right now I'd rather be in pain. Look, he says, if you can't afford your teeth, I can get you Vicodin. I'm not afraid of pain, but it limits you. And it's not until you've grieved crusty bread and rare beef and food that's really hot or cold that you see what lunch is. Because it's friends, sharing, talking, and chewing. That's what pain costs you. And when the pain gets too great and I can't focus, I take the pills and I can't focus. What if I can't work? And my breath tastes like decay. So I step away from my students and talk off to the side, but they hate that and they close the gap. So I withdraw and they're hurt. They can't see that I'm protecting them. Blame their art teacher for that. And when even the drugs won't get the pain, I go to another dentist and he pulls the tooth. And I feel better, but I feel worse. What's happening to me? Your teeth are bad. I need to take them out. I want another option. If you wanted another option, you should have taken better care of yourself. Either I pull them out, or they're going to fall out on their own. And my option is more efficient. It's also a lot more expensive. I'm just remembering why I don't like dentists. And he smiles, and I smile, and he looks away. Maybe I didn't deserve to smile, because I screwed up. I have become an offense, and I've can teach myself not to smile, because every time someone looks and looks away, I stab myself with shame. And one of my students says to me, "You tell us to trust. You tell us to greet whatever life sends us. Why are you hiding from us?" And I just say it. My teeth are rotten, okay? My mouth is full of decay. And there's silence. And then they say, "May we speak?" No, it's gross. I'm ashamed. But that's a story. Let us see. Sometimes you can't see, but we can if you show us. And one of them tells me about this special clinic for people of modest means, and I go, and the dentist examines me carefully and takes x-rays, and she says, "Want to see?" And we look at the negatives, and she draws on them, and she says, "This will be challenging. We're going to have to do it in stages, whatever you can afford. And over time, it will come together sort of like a cathedral. You're not going to pull all of my teeth. Well, we'll lose a few along the way, but we can save most of them if that's what you want. Isn't it our job to save everything we can?" And she smiles, and I smile. And that afternoon, I model for my students, and they draw close and study in silence. What is this kaleidoscape, or refractions of soft light or splintered glass? This is how beauty emerges. This is how soon I will have a new story. My fellow fairies, this is the most important election of our lifetime. I know I've said it before. This time, it's true. You've seen the polls. Even though we're distributing more largesse than ever before, our brand equity is slipping. Our message is tired. Our ideology is out of touch. We've become addicted to old habits and miss what the country needs now. Because we need more than quaint rituals. We need change. Real change. Not the small change we faithfully stick for decades. And unless we can deliver, we're toast. Worse, we're irrelevant. We must reinvent our party. And that's why I'm announcing my candidacy for Fairy Godfather. Because we have what the country needs if we're willing to lead with fresh ideas. While we've been flitting around doing what we do, we've been losing market share to the other quasi-fictional benevolence franchises. Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Clinton Global Initiative. They've been reinventing themselves, promoting their practical pocketbook payoffs. The Easter Bunny has co-opted Earth Day. Santa Claus has branded himself as fiscal Keynesian stimulus. And we are wasting valuable assets. My friends, fairies are hot. Teeth are the linchpin of good health and well-being, and our distribution and fulfillment network leaves FedEx in the dust. We should be changing the world, and what are we doing? We're leaving money under kids' pillows when they lose a tooth. And everything about that is wrong. Now, I know, I've said it isn't popular, it isn't politically correct. But if you will think about it for just a moment, if you will be honest with yourselves, you will agree. Because number one, we have created a new entitlement. We have led people to believe that they should expect a cash transfer simply because they have sloughed off what is essentially a waste product. That is bad optics. Bad. And no one cared about losing a baby tooth until we made it an occasion for a handout. Number two, we are fostering hypocrisy and malaise. Witness the growing ranks of kids cynical kids who say they don't believe in us even as they pocket the cash. And you can bet they would squawk if we didn't show up. Is this not what's wrong with government today? And number 3, we incentivize the wrong behavior. We've all seen it. Adults conditioned by their early experience with us, putting under their pillow bloody bicuspids lost in barroom fights, cracked molars that the dentist couldn't save. Fairies, we are paying people for losing their teeth. If anything, we should be paying them for holding on to them, because it takes work to keep your teeth. And if you look at the research of truly independent, third-party think tanks, and these are not easy to find, they will tell you that if you care about containing healthcare costs and making people employable and leveraging our tax dollars to the hilt, there is no better investment than oral prophylaxis. We should own that. So today, I'm proposing a really big change, an idea whose time has come. No more money under pillows. Now, hear me out. When you leave a tooth for the fairy, you will get a deposit in a dental use savings tax-free account. Fairy dust. And you've got to spend that money on your teeth. You can't spend it on candy. You can't spend it on what the corporate machine is peddling. You have to put this money where your mouth is. Fairy dust gives you a share of the commonwealth you create when you take care of yourself. So, let's bring people what they need. Because this is truly a promising idea with bipartisan appeal. If you're liberal, we're offering you a public good because smiles encourage trust and cooperation. If you're conservative, we are too. What's more conservative than protecting traditional dentition? And we replace an entitlement with a savings plan. And we're fairies you can love. In these divisive times, we need a common enemy. Well, we've all got teeth. Let's unite people in the fight against cavities and abscess. Let's unite people against lost smiles and diminished prospects. Let's be relevant in the 21st century and bridge division and shrink the deficit. Let's be the fairies we believe in. I don't go to the dentist. I am dentist. But every so often, when I need reassurance, I come and sit in this waiting room. I come here when I'm restless, when I'm thinking I should be doing more to help people who can't afford what they need. Because unless I remember how the world really works, I may do something rash and idealistic. You don't hear soft music here, no trickling water fountains. Just traffic outside and a whiny air conditioner. My waiting room has art on the walls. They've got posters with information about computer classes and legal aid and how to brush your teeth. No fish tank, no movies, no view, no personal space. We sit against the walls and look at each other. A young brunette with mama and grandma. A worker, husky, in a blue shirt, scuffed shoes. A shivering woman in a black shawl. A girl in a pink sweatshirt helps her dad fill out forms. And beside me, a 12-year-old boy plays games on his mother's cell phone, trying to ignore us all. Here we are, in a room with crowded strangers, in pain, waiting indefinitely for someone who can't afford to work here. I've got to remember, this is what happens when you try to help everybody. I couldn't do this. The girl says something to her dad. She fills out the forms. Dad was scared. The boy beside me pulls a sucker from out of his pocket. His mother snatches it, and the boy howls like a baby. Pink sweatshirt and dad look up. The shivering woman pulls her shawl more closely about him. The husky man cringes. Stuck with strangers in pain. My insured patients wouldn't stand for this. What's money for, if not to get you free from this? A door opens, and a smiling woman enters in scrubs. And behind her, a tall man comes out, and before he puts on something, before he pays and leaves, he takes her hand. Gracias. Gracias. Now that's not something you hear in my office. People will say a polite thing, but my patients, they pay for what they get. You can argue that real gratitude is actually a signal of some sort of inefficiency. The woman in scrubs comes over and puts a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. She speaks to him tenderly, but she can see it only embarrasses him. So she stands. Maria Chavez! And Grandma's out, stumbling towards her, arms outstretched. And they're talking like they were old friends as they vanish into the back. Who is this woman in scrubs? Is she a hygienist? Office manager? They seem to think she's an angel. She could be the dentist, which would explain things, because she lacks the gravity to inspire confidence in paying clients. My clients pay for expertise. They pay for authority. That's why I act like an authoritative expert. That's probably why I don't trust dentists. A young Vietnamese couple comes in. Mama's holding a toddler. The toddler scans the room fearfully as her parents struggle to make themselves understood at the reception desk. This is so painful to watch. I've seen enough. And I'm about to get up to go when the brunette stands and speaks to the couple in some soft, strange language. And their faces brighten. And she talks a while, and then she translates for the receptionist, and all is well. And the Vietnamese couple says, gracias, gracias, as they take their seats beneath the air conditioner. I remember a little. ¿Cuánto cuesta esta camisa? ¿Dónde está un buen restaurante? Not that helps. And suddenly, the young Vietnamese man is up. He's noticed the shivering woman, and he takes off his shoes, stands on his chair, and adjusts the vents. And the woman removes her shawl and smiles. Gracias. And the toddler bounds off her mother's lap and waddles over to the shivering woman, who picks her up and bounces her, giggling on her knee. And the little girl heads for the husky worker. She wants to play. She holds up her arms, singing, pleading, and the man looks confused until the brunette translates. And he takes his bolo tie and puts it around her neck. And she dances, and she flashes her prize around the room, and we all laugh. And the husky man laughs and winces, and the Vietnamese mom touches her cheeks in the thank her. And her husband says a few words to the man, and he speaks back, and the brunette can see there is no translation needed. And he signs it with a flourish, and he whistles at the sulking boy, and pulls a handkerchief out of his pocket, and twists and folds it into a rabbit. And then he twists and shakes, and voila, a fox. And the teenage boy doesn't want to look, he doesn't want to laugh, but an adventure is unfolding. I see what's happening, although I am out of practice. I offer quick access to insulation and anesthesia for people who can pay their way to the front of the line. The scrubs angel reappears, and she calls for the husky workman. And the Vietnamese dad returns his bolo tie. And for a moment, the two men see each other's pain, and healing begins. The puppet show is over, and the boy asks the man a question. And the man opens his mouth and points at something inside. And the boy's eyes grow wide. And the man speaks to him in a tone that is both somber and comforting. And then he grips the boy's hand, and then he gives him a playful punch to his shoulder. And then he begins a new story. It's happening here, now. And the boy is the hero. And the boy sits up and looks into the man's eyes. What are we supposed to do with time and pain? What can I learn from people who have learned from necessity, from practice, how to twist and fold time and pain into something we can share? Or is it this place that teaches us how to care? And suddenly, I realize everyone is looking at me. And the puppeteer pantomimes, wiping his eyes, and hands me his handkerchief. I have lost track of time. The boy finds the sun. It gives it to me. Lessons. Lessons, I say. To all these friendly strangers,